Hey, thank you guys so much for joining me on the EntreNetwork Podcast. This episode, we'll be talking about 6 types of content to help your business grow in 2022.
Welcome to EntreNetwork, brought to you by Revision Marketing Group. This podcast is meant to serve as an entrepreneurial knowledge base of wisdom and practical tips in marketing, branding, and technology to help grow your business effectively.
We'll dive right into it. So the first one is going to be social media posts. The second one is going to be video podcasts, video testimonials, blog posts, newsletters, and webinars. We'll dive into why these things are extremely important for 2022, especially to help small businesses grow. But first, we want to just kind of talk about video overall. You can see all of this video here. We record a video podcast for EntreNetwork along with young creatives for Revision Marketing Group. And video content performs a lot better than any kind of medium out there. I know for LinkedIn, a lot of, text content performs extremely well, but that paired with video and then subtitles is just extraordinary as far as engagement for the platform. So we'll dive right into it. But before that, we want to just kind of get into why you should be using content marketing, especially video content to help your business grow. So the first part as to why you should be using video content is because it's a super engaging medium for a lot of businesses. And even if you're trying to build a personal brand, if you give people insight through video into your personality, they can do one or two things. They can either love you, love the content, or they can just despise of you. And chances are, if they despise of you, hopefully they unfollow. So as far as getting into video content, I want to say, hey, just go ahead and get into it as soon as possible because it showcases a much deeper level of the individual. And then you have more time to talk about the topic that you want to talk about. So for this, or for us, getting into the 6 types of content, I can go on for a pretty long time as far as content. So this medium, specifically video content, paired with a podcast, allows me to dive a little bit deeper. And then it gives people more insight to who I am as a person. Some of the stuff that I find funny that other people don't find funny. And yeah, just more insight into the person because I had a episode probably a month or so ago. Time just flies, but it was with Cam, the man king, Cameron King, and he was talking about the importance of video content. And I want to stress how important it is because it's just an incredible medium for people to buy from the individual, or you can build a community around your tribe in a sense. So video is just extremely important. But enough about video content. We'll just kind of get to it. One con about video content is it's extremely time consuming. So I'm a video editor at heart. I really love to produce video content, and then the overall process of putting my head down in Premiere Pro and cranking out different creative content. But it's extremely time consuming because when you think of, hey, you have to do this and then do that and then all this other thing, and it's the beginning of the year, so you have to do taxes and stuff like that. But it's extremely time consuming. For us, our overall process allows for us to get it cranked out pretty quickly. And then we're looking to hire someone else to do the video content or the overall media production to help things go a little bit more swiftly. But the overall infrastructure is the biggest thing once you try to actually dive into video content because you need things like storage, you need cameras, you need audio equipment, lights, you need a place to actually record the video content. But most times, if you're just starting, just pick up an iPhone and take out that camera. It has extremely nice quality. This isn't sponsored by Apple, even though we wish it was. But just get your phone out because the content, not the quality of the content, but the actual content what matters. So say, for instance, I'm talking about systems and CRMs and stuff like that. If the audio is nice and the photo quality or the video quality isn't up to par, chances are your viewers are still going to engage with that content because it adds value, because the content is there. And the value of the content is there. So if you focus on the value of the content and not necessarily the production value of the content, it'll force you to add value to your community. And from there, you can invest in different equipment, or you can outsource it to a local videographer, or you can outsource it to Revision Marketing Group. But content, video content, I think it's going to be the king of marketing for 2022. The next thing that we want to do before we actually dive into the 6 types of content to help your business grow in 2022 is going to be understanding your target audience. Coffee break. So with your target audience, you have to understand who you're speaking to. We have recently gotten into different blog posts, and Christian came up with this awesome idea to highlight different chambers of commerce for like the marketing, not coordinators, but the people who actually do the marketing professionals, the people who actually manage the social media and come up with events and the creatives and stuff like that. We wanted to highlight them. So that specific person and that specific organization is the target market or the target audience for that specific piece of content. So at first I called her Lisa. Lisa, she's a marketing director at the Chamber of Commerce. So this can be the chamber in Shreveport, Louisiana, or it can be the chamber in Bossier. But we have this avatar that we're speaking to directly. So once Christian is actually composing the blog post, she's speaking directly to Lisa, and she knows that, hey, Lisa, she works a lot as far as the value that she adds to the chambers and the membership and stuff like that, but she's not always highlighted. So with this blog post, I'm speaking directly to her and talking about Canva and talking about Photoshop and talking about different events that chambers put on. But that piece of content is geared directly to that specific person. And then for me, so we have different target audiences here at Revision because we build personal brands. So with my target audience, it's more so small business owners, and then high level C-level roles at bigger organizations. So I'm speaking directly to these 2 subsets. So I call him Ben. So he's a guy who's a business owner, and he's looking to grow his business and get or receive more education as it relates to marketing and branding. But he doesn't necessarily have the time to focus on marketing and branding. But once he outsources it or partners with an agency, he wants to have as much education and knowledge as possible. So he's aware of the KPIs and things like that. So he's getting a good return on investment. So that's the avatar, or one of the avatars for me, and some of the service offerings that we have at Revision Marketing Group. So I say all of that to say it's critical that you understand the target audience before you start doing any kind of marketing, because without a target audience in mind, you're pretty much speaking to everyone, which means you're not speaking to anyone. So you want to make sure that you have your target audience, even if it's multiple target audiences. Just make sure that you're speaking to one specific person with the content that you're choosing to create. Because the resources, either time or money, is going to be spent to talk to specific people. So you want to make sure that you're mindful of that before you push forward with any kind of marketing. So getting on to the types of content to help your business grow in 2022. So the first one is going to be video social media post. So this one is extremely engaging. So we have seen the rise of TikTok So most people know it as a platform where people do dances and stuff like that, and it's more geared towards the younger generation, but it's not true. Looking at the stats from it, and me looking at some of the AI and how it's actually pushing content to me, it's more educational content. And then my wife, she's a mother, so she consumes a lot of content on parenting tips and how to calm down a baby and all of this other stuff, and she shared it with me. And then on the other side of it, you have people talking about real estate investing on TikTok, and it's short video content that's adding a ton of value as far as, hey, did you know? Or, hey, this is how you do this, so on and so forth. So that kind of video content provides a lot of value. And you always want to keep the target audience in mind. That's why I talked about it at first. You want to make sure that you know directly who this piece of content is for, and you use that person's name, or you say, hey, this person, or you just keep it in the back of your mind, and you know, hey, these are their pain points. This is what they're looking for. This is their aspirations and stuff like that. And then you create the video content. But social media, having it or multi-purposing it on different platforms for video just provides a lot of opportunity to get a return on that video content. Because say, for instance, this format, you have 16 by 9. I'm a tech geek as far as like video production. So you have this frame on YouTube, which is more so long form. It's going to house the entire video podcast. But we also do short form snippets. So we know that the box format or the square format is good for Instagram. And it's no longer than like 60 seconds of quick value add to that specific target audience. And then on LinkedIn, we can experiment. We can go with the box format, or we can go with the longer duration. So we know what the target audience is, but it's always predicated on adding value. So video content, video social media posts is going to be extremely big. It already is, especially on LinkedIn, as far as like little nuggets to drop to your specific target audience. So yeah, how-to videos are really good as far as producing some of those. So people want to know the tips and tricks and how to do certain things. So say, for instance, my target audience, we also focus on technology. So if we're looking at automation, we know that a lot of small business owners don't have the infrastructure or technical know-how to automate different processes. So the simple tasks, or what seems simple as far as like migrating or pushing data from one system to the other, so you're not manually doing it. Say, for instance, with our CRM, client relationship management, or customer relationship management program, once we have a contact in that system, it automatically pushes that person to QuickBooks, which in the past I had to actually put that person in the CRM to keep up with email correspondence and stuff like that. And then also type in all of that information into QuickBooks, which it's a 2 or 3 minute process. But once it's automated and then you're pushing in a lot of contacts into your system and you're shooting out a lot of invoices, it becomes extremely tedious. And then it becomes extremely tedious for the next person because you grow and the business isn't scalable. So anyway, I'm going on to tangent with that, but how-to videos, how to actually get that done. So we use Zapier and then plug and play Zoho CRM with QuickBooks and push that information over. So as a business owner or as a business professional, you have all of this knowledge in your industry. People really want to see that information. And more so, it's because it's you as the individual first, and then the value that you add to your community. So if you're producing how-to videos and people are actually watching it to get insight into how you do some of the service offerings that you do in your industry, you can position yourself as an expert in your field because you're passionate about it, and people want to work with passionate people. But not only that, it also allows for you to showcase your personality. People get to know you a little bit better, and it's not just on the sales calls, right? So you're not just walking through how you develop a website on a sales call. You're actually producing it and pushing it out on social media before prospects even have the sales meeting. So they are educated before they come to you as an individual and say, hey, I'm looking for a website. And I don't know anything about your overall process. And then you have to spend 20, 30 minutes educating them on how you do things and how you differentiate yourself from the competitors. So how-to videos are extremely good. Another one for video social media posts is going live. Most platforms, they reward you for going live on things like Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram. Because it's extremely engaging. In that medium, it allows people to comment in real time. So most times you can go live, or hopefully you're going live on a platform and it's just rough video. It's not highly produced unless it's a big production or something like that. But most people just want to see and engage with the individual. So for Revision Marketing Group, we're not getting a lot of engagement as far as the people that we target because they're engaging with us as the individual. So if I'm putting something out on Facebook for the Revision page and I share it on my personal page, it gets more engagement because you have a community that you're building. And then same for different team members, such as Michaela. If she's focused on overall branding and she creates a video or a live, her friends are going to share it, and so on and so forth. People buy into the individual person before they buy into the business. It's like, hey, I know this person that does websites. I know this person who does video, podcasting, so on and so forth. And it's always, hey, I know the person, unless it's Apple or something like that. And like Cam was saying on the podcast before, even Apple, they do endorsements and stuff like that. So it's always the person behind the brand, most times anyway. But yeah, going live is extremely good video type for 2022. Just do some behind the scenes video content. Hey, this is our overall process. This is what we do on a day-to-day. Or recently for Revision, we was doing each team member pretty much had different clips throughout the day where they gave insight into what they did on a day-to-day basis, just to give our prospects or our community on different networks insight into what we do on a day-to-day. It's not salesy. It's basically just providing insight into us as individuals because people want to buy from people. And it doesn't have to be highly produced. Again, you can go ahead and grab your iPhone. This is not sponsored. And then just start recording. But make sure that you map out the content in advance as far as what you want to talk about. So you're still focused on the target audience and speaking directly to that target audience as far as the value that you add to those people or your community. Yeah, and it doesn't have to be championed by one person. So our entire team is focused on providing value to our constituents. We have government contracts, so constituents it's gee whiz, adding value to our community. So it's not just one person that's championing the content drive. We're doing podcasts, video, newsletters, webinars, so on and so forth. And everybody's each person has a different specialty. So we know that, and we know that Michaela is able to provide more value than I do in terms of the overall design of websites, whereas I provide more education in terms of the technical stuff, even though she's pretty much right there from a technical standpoint as well now. But integrating different systems into website design, so on and so forth. I can talk a little bit more about those things and add a little bit more value. And I'm super passionate about it. I love the way that things tick, and I'm always looking for more efficient ways to help businesses grow. So with that, I can just talk about it. If I see the topic in front of me, I understand the target audience, and I can use words that play to them, and just focus on the value that it's adding to that community. So the next one is video podcast, which is this podcast along with Young Creative. So video podcasting. For this podcast, I did something a little bit different. I went ahead and created the blog post first, or just kind of consolidated all of my thoughts into a blog post. So we got 1,000-word blog post, and then we have high-level talking points for the video podcast. So I'm pretty much just reading off of this and then providing insight from experience and stuff like that to add more value to these high-level topics. But video podcast is incredible because there's so many different ways that you can multi-purpose the content. So at first we talked about the video social media post. So with video podcast, it's a little bit different from the audio podcast because it's a little bit more engaging with the video content. And you have different placements of the video. So just high level for the video podcast, you have the actual long form video, which is most likely going to be 30 to 45 minutes long, or however long that the podcast is. And then, so you have that, which can be pushed to YouTube for long form entertainment or commitment. People watch the video, they see all of the things that you talk about, they see your facial expressions, and they get insight into your personality. I've done a whole lot of hand movements in this one because I'm standing up, and this is my first time actually doing one by myself without a co-host or a guest. So it's for me, it's a little bit uneasy, but I know the topic, so I'm just talking about it now at this point. But yeah, you can see all of that in a long form content on YouTube. So that's one way that video podcasts are extremely incredible. And then the other one is the audio. So this mic here, it's capturing all of the audio for just the audio podcast. So you can put this on things like Spotify. You can put it on Apple. You can put it on not Google Music. It's Google Podcasts, I think. And then you can put it on other platforms with just the audio. So people can subscribe to that. And you have different channels to push out your content. And then aside from that, you could also have a section on your website. So you can benefit from SEO, which is extremely big. So you can place the video on such as something like a blog post, the long form YouTube video, or you can embed it with Amazon Web Services and do it that way, which gives you a little bit more benefit. But you have that, and then you have the transcript, or you can transcribe the actual audio and then clean it up a little bit so it can be a blog post. But for us in this instance, we already have the overall blog post. We'll add to it a little bit more since I discussed some stuff that wasn't necessarily on the blog post. But once you put all of that on the website, people benefit from the video content. They can listen to the audio whenever they want, when they're driving or something like that. Hopefully you're not looking at this video on YouTube when you're driving. And then you also have the long form text content or blog posts that goes in depth. So for people who want to just kind of skim through some stuff or just touch on one specific point, such as the video podcast versus the video social media posts, they can go directly to that content and just consume that. And you get a lot of benefits from search engine optimization, when you do it in this format. And then the next one, which is going to be, this one, as far as like video podcasts, it's important that you cut the podcast up into bite-sized snippets for social media promotion and just overall content for your content strategy. Because doing a podcast, specifically a video podcast, is a big commitment, especially for a small business, but the value that people get from it is always there if you have these high-level topics geared towards your specific target audience. So just cutting up the videos into these bite-sized snippets, it gives you the video social media posts, and then you produce the text content, or you transcribe it, and you have that text content to go off of, and you have a lot of posts, insane amount of posts. For us, our video podcast, we do at least 8 snippets, especially if we have multiple guests or co-hosts. We do multiple snippets, such as 60 seconds or less than 60 seconds for Instagram, up to 5 minutes or so for things like LinkedIn and Facebook, and IGTV. It just depends on what kind of value has been added and then who we're actually targeting with that piece of content. But the best way to get the biggest bang for your buck, as far as like video podcasting, is making sure that you have those bite-sized snippets that people can consume, and then you can push them to the long-form content, or you can push them to a call to action, or something on your website that provides more insight, and then you can retarget those people. I'm going off on a whim with all of this stuff, but it's so much opportunity for growth with a video podcast. So the next one, video testimonials. So we have not, disclaimer, we have not done any kind of video testimonials for like our marketing agency. But once, or when we look at different content or different agencies or different industries, such as lawyers or doctors or chambers of commerces, or nonprofit organizations, when they have video content or video testimonials specifically on their website, on the homepage, on the about page, and you see other people, clients of theirs, express how awesome it is to be a part of the organization, or be a client of the organization, or how much it was able to help their business grow. It's extremely great for social proof, because it's not that business, that brand actually bragging on themselves. It's someone else bragging on them, which it's good. It allows you to it just allows you to provide a whole lot of social proof. And a business doesn't come off as, oh, they're bragging about themselves. Of course they are, in a sense, because every business is great to the person that's in the business or inside the business. But when someone else brags about it and talks about the results that's been had, it's a lot better, especially from happy customers. So we'll provide more insight into some of the tools that you can use to actually get this done. Of course, you can get the client to just record a quick video on their camera, iPhone. Yeah, I'm gonna keep saying that because my sister has an Android, and it's always a rivalry. But just record a quick video. But you also have different platforms that focus specifically on video testimonials and making it as easy as possible for customers to actually give you a testimonial. And then from there, you just put it on YouTube or Vimeo or any other hosting platform, and embed it into your website. And there you have it. Content creation for video. Video creation can be extremely time consuming, but it just provides so much insight into the person. If the person has actually been open and vulnerable in the video. But video testimonials are incredible as far as being able to help your business grow and provide more trustworthiness right off the front, right up front. The next one is blog post. So with blog posts, this is more so geared towards SEO. But if you don't do any kind of blog content, I highly recommend that you do or you start. It's not extremely difficult, and then a search engine optimization that you get outweighs a lot of the time that it takes to do it. This is more so a long-term strategy. So you won't really see a return on investment right away, 3 to 6 months. Give it at least 6 months to start getting in a return on investment as far as like the cost that it takes to produce this or the time that it takes. But with that, blog posts, extremely important because it provides evergreen content. Something that I highly recommend that you read if you want to get into blog posting is They Ask, You Answer by Marcus. I cannot say the last name, but by Marcus. This book is incredible as far as overall content. So it's an extremely simple framework. With your business, you have so many questions that people ask. Such as how much does it cost for a website, or how much does it cost to implement a client relationship management program, or what's your process for video podcasting, or how do you do this, or how do you do that? And sometimes it's questions that you wouldn't think you need to post it publicly, but given that transparency helps the customer a lot more, and it educates them a lot more. So you can do all of that through blog post. And with all of that content, they're more educated. So once they get on a sales call with you, or once they actually commit to your service offering or your buy your product, all of the questions are already answered, which makes it more likely for them to convert. And it positions or it repositions the person. So instead of like being like super sales focused, or sales driven, and you're not extremely sure of where this person is in the overall marketing funnel or sales funnel, you allow that person to slowly educate themselves into a client or into a customer for conversion, which I think is definitely the way of the future. Not to say that sales and marketing don't have any kind of overlap, because they have a lot of overlap, but allowing people to consume content and allow them to see where they are within an overall journey. It saves a lot of time for the sales team, just kind of focusing more so on inbound marketing. So yeah, when blogging, just ask the simple question, who's the target audience? What is this meant for? And yeah, just add value from the blog post. And with that, you have a lot of different ways to multi-purpose that blog post as well, because I'm always talking about efficiency. And since you already produced it, or since someone already produced it, you can use that content for social media posts. So that can be more so the anchor content. Hey, this is insight into the service offering, or this is evergreen content, so on and so forth. Or this is the ultimate step or guide to video podcasting. That's the name of the blog post. You can do something like that, and then from that, you have these subsections where you can dive a little bit deeper, or make it into bite-sized content on social media, just to multi-purpose that and drive people to the full blog post. Or you can cut up that content and push it across your newsletter in different intervals, or you can create like a webinar. So it's different ways to multi-purpose content, which is insane, because it allows you to get more return on your investment, since you're already investing in the overall content. So the next one in this explanation of the 6 types of content to help your business grow in 2022 is newsletters. So this, people think newsletters are out of style, but it's definitely not, because it's earned media. So with social media platforms, it's pretty much, or we have seen it with just like Facebook and things like that, where you build this extremely big community of like 1,000, 10,000, 20,000, 100,000 people, and then your reach year over year, although your fan base or your community is getting bigger, the amount of people that you actually reach is getting a little bit smaller and smaller, or a lot smaller year over year. So with that, a newsletter is a great way to keep that audience and keep that engagement, because you have these emails pretty much forever unless people unsubscribe. But you have these newsletters, and you can get people's information, and you can keep a constant level of engagement or viewership based off your newsletters, if it's adding enough value, right? And it also provides more touch points for you to stay top of mind. So with a newsletter, the most important thing is just staying relevant, still understanding the target audience. So if you have subsets in your newsletter, such as someone who downloads an ebook talking about video podcasting versus someone who downloads an ebook talking about a CRM implementation, you may have different groups and then push out different content to these different groups, right? So you just want to kind of stay mindful of that. And it's also a way to push out additional content. So with a blog post focused on what that target audience wants to consume and stuff, you can multi-purpose that and push it across to your newsletter to provide more value. Chances are, or maybe they didn't see some of the content on your social media, and you just want to add value directly in that medium. So newsletters are still definitely here for 2022, and it's a good way to benefit or get a good return on investment for some of the content that you create. Because with EntreNetwork, we have a newsletter for revision as a whole, and then you have EntreNetwork, and then you have young creatives, and we produce all of this content, and then we cut up the content, or we make social media posts from the content. We do blog posts from the content, but we also push it out across the newsletter, and then channel people to like the long form YouTube video, or to like us on Facebook or Instagram, so on and so forth, or go to the website to learn more. And then from there, you can nurture that relationship a lot more. And then not so much focus on like pushy and then salesy, because people are going to buy when they want to buy, but you can definitely do a call to action that pushes them a little bit further down the funnel, to convert them into a paying customer, if that's what you want to do. Maybe you want to just kind of build a community and not focus on monetizing it, because it's definitely a strategy to just build community first, and not just provide value, and then the next year or a year later, you do more so of a sales campaign where you're still adding value on a regular basis, but now it's time to monetize the overall community that you're building, because just talking to like business owners, it's always, hey, how can we get a return on investment? And you always want to be conscious of that, but it always starts with the value first. How much value are you giving these people? How much value are you giving your community? Because people want to be educated, or most times they want to be educated. And if they don't, you want to kind of question, hey, is this the community, or is this the person that I want to work with? Because sometimes it's like, when I don't want to know it, I just want to go ahead and outsource it, or get you to do it. But that trust, it comes from being educated at least somewhat, or word of mouth marketing and things like this, or seeing you as an expert in your field. And a lot of it comes from that. So education through all of these mediums, specifically video content, so people can get a feel for who you are as an individual. But yeah, So the next and final one, as far as types of content to help you grow in 2022, is webinars and webcast. It's another form of video content. It's still more so long form, but you also have the ability to segment this into bite-sized content for different mediums. So say, for instance, we have a signature event called Marketing and Branding Your Business. So we have this on Eventbrite, but we record like the video, and we clean up the audio a little bit after we do the first Marketing and Branding Your Business. So after that, we pretty much have it on autopilot. So we have a webinar every 3 months focused on that topic, that signature event, for people to sign up, and we play the video, and then we do like a live Q&A after. But with that, it allows for you to still establish yourself as an expert, but push people down a funnel a little bit more because they commit to this long form webinar. So yeah, and it's video, so it allows people to get insight into your overall business. And then if you're talking about like automation, if you're collecting the information or the emails, and you're pushing them to the system that you use for newsletters, then you can put them in a funnel to cut up that webinar, or since you already did it, the webinar is cut up so you still have bite-sized content that's nurturing them in terms of marketing and branding their business. And then you also have the video snippets, high level on a post. So it just provides more top of mind as well. And it's continuing to educate them until they have decided to either buy from you or tell someone else, hey, I know this person who does this, and this, and they will be a great fit for you, because everybody isn't going to buy from you. But just focusing on value and educating the community that you're growing is a really good way to start. It's definitely a long-term approach. You're not truly going to get a return on investment within the first like 6 months or so. But the content that you produce, these 6 types of content that you produce, provides a good return on investment long term. So thank you guys so much for joining me on the EntreNetwork Podcast. I am your host, Sidney Jackson. We'll still be doing this on a weekly basis. Comment below, or just reach out if you guys have any questions, or if you wanted me to go into something a little bit more in depth, or if you have an idea for the next episode. Thank you guys so much. Tuning out.